9 out of 10 businesses fail. Why do you think that is? It's not because they just had invalid products or they sucked as humans. It's because 9 out of 10 business owners simply give up. It's because 9 out of 10 business owners simply can't reframe the eternal challenge that is entrepreneurialism in their minds and fall in love with it and actually look forward to it. They just quit. Hey y'all, in this video, I want to talk about the struggles and the hidden challenges of entrepreneurship. So if you're a business owner, if you're someone who wants to start a business, this video is going to be a bit of a vent session for you and how I reframe the inevitable endless challenges on the road to building my company to the next level. So if you don't know who I am, my name's Yamuna. I lived as a monk in monasteries all over the world for about 4 years, just dedicating my life to service. I then founded Jivanam Ayurveda and Wellness, which was a holistic education company where we taught people all over the world how to do body work and how to heal themselves. And now I run Conscious Business Mastery, which is the #1 growth partner for holistic coaches, course creators, educators, thought leaders who want to grow their missions to $1 million plus per year. So I have learned a lot about the pain of having multiple startups at this point in my life and being able to grow them to a place that I think a lot of people would consider very, very successful. You know, we're at a $4 or $5 million run rate for this year, yet there's the same amount of pain and challenge now as there was earlier on, but the way that that pain is dealt with is just so much more grounded and empowering. And I'm going to just vent for a second because sometimes the challenges get to me, right? There's risk that you have to incur, right? If you have a team, you're potentially responsible for many people's livelihoods and their supporting of their family. If you have a bunch of clients, they're relying on you for support and for guidance. They want you to lead them to, the promised land in one sense. You have to risk your finances, risk your time, risk potentially going down the quote unquote wrong path. There's going to be endless problems that you have to deal with. Problems with tech, problems with marketing, problems with your product, problems with so many things. There's going to be times where you feel utterly lonely as you're building your thing. And especially if you're building an online business, you're just at your computer in a room, like working, especially as you're a solopreneur, right? Like you're just alone trying to make a mission that's dear to your heart actually happen and trying to make it something valuable and big and something that you can go all in on and self-sustain your whole livelihood with. And also, like, the loneliness can increase as you go along because the more and more you grow your company and your mission and yourself, the less and less people there are in one sense that are ahead of you to relate with, right? The challenges and the obstacles become such that less and less people can relate with them. Right? How many people can relate with having a $5 million startup? Like not 99.999% of humans on the planet, probably even less than that, are a CEO of a company that's doing that and has the challenges that I currently have. Not that I'm like some super unique sort of, human with, oh, my challenges are so unique. But my point is, like, it can feel isolating to have your own business and to not have someone behind you saying, good job, you're on the right track. You're just making the best decisions you can. You're trying to be bold, and you don't know if that boldness is going to bite you and, potentially crush you, or if that boldness is going to make you. And you have to ignore and filter out other people's opinions. The thing about becoming truly exceptional is you are the exception, meaning that you're going to have to do things contrary to how most people do things. If you want to get results that are much different than the average human, then results are a cause of the actions you've taken, and the actions that you take are a result of the thoughts that you have. And the thoughts that you have are based on whatever philosophy and worldview that you possess. And so your worldview and your perspective and your values and your beliefs have to be radically different in order to take radically different actions, in order to get radically different results, in order to become exceptional, which means most people won't share those with you. That means you have to ignore most people's opinions. If they haven't done the thing that you want to do, if they're not at the level of financial success you want to be at, if they're not at the level of impact you want to be at, then they're just speaking an opinion over you and speaking their beliefs over you. and speaking their limitations over you. And you have to be able to filter that, right? Not meaning that, doesn't mean that everyone's trying to tear you down, but you have to be able to filter out, this is what worked for them to get to $60,000 a year in their business. But I'm trying to go to $500,000 a year in my business. So how am I listening to this person? Right? Not to discount them as a human, but it becomes less and less people you can get advice from. And so you have to really filter like what beliefs you want to take on as your own, what limitations, because if your perceptual world is all that's going to determine your results, well, at least one of the leading factors of what's going to determine your results, you have to protect it. You have to create a sanctuary within yourself that's like a impenetrable fortress where you're just focused on exactly where you want to go, who you want to become, and the road forward. And also confronting in business that literally everything is a trade-off. There are no solutions. It's just which one sucks less, which one is going to carry less risk, which decision is going to carry less risk. Dealing with endless trade-offs, having to deal with judgment and haters. It's so interesting how people will root for you. Like, yeah, I heard this from another mentor in my life. He said, people want you to win. They just don't want you to win more than they're winning. And obviously that's not true for everybody. There are some really amazing people I have in my life who are so proud of me and who just want to see me win more and more and more at higher levels. But it's so true that as I've won more and more, it's like when you're just starting your dream, people will cheer you on because you remind them of their own dreams that they are wanting to start on. And then as you win, and you really win big, you remind people of their own unmet potential, right? That's what jealousy is. That's what envy is when your unmet potential is standing right outside of you, confronting you. And you can just judge the person, or you can see how it's a reflection of your own lack of development in a particular way. If someone has more followers than you, more money than you, more success, more impact than you, there's something that they have or that they've developed that you haven't, and that's just the plain, truth. And so people will try to tear you down. It's very interesting. A lot of my clients, like as they're beginning to, hit 20, 30, 50,000, 100,000, we have a few clients doing $200,000, $300,000 per month in their businesses. There's people that judge them hard, people that comment vicious things, especially as you begin to run ads on the internet. You'll see how wild the internet actually is as a place and how permissible it seems to cast complete blanket assumptions onto someone you've never met, you've never spoken to, you've never met, but just judging them on the deepest levels of their character from a reel or from a post or from an ad. It's incredible. The more you amplify your message, you not only amplify like all the people who love your message, right? Like you had 80 fans, now you have 800 people who are follower of your mission, but like the 20 haters are now 200 haters, because you're just amplifying, and it just amplifies at scale. And I don't think humans are meant to be able to hold the opinion of thousands of people. I think how human brains are wired is you're able to hold the opinion of like your local tribe, your local village, right? Maybe a few dozen or a few hundred people max. But the internet has allowed it so that now we can be subjected to the opinions of hundreds of people or thousands of people. And they don't even have to filter what they say because they don't have to say it to your face. So you get unfiltered opinions of thousands or tens of thousands of people who have their own issues and jealousy and envy. And I don't think the human psyche is meant to withstand that. So you have to have a very deep self-centeredness in order to deal with this. Then there comes debt, right? So I'm not just talking about money, right? Like obviously there's a saying you have to spend money to make money. Like I think that's mostly true. Fortunately, like information businesses are some of the least capital heavy businesses on the planet, right? You can trade your service, your knowledge, your skill, your mentorship, and just have a Zoom account essentially and make tens of thousands of dollars. Okay. But you have to like sacrifice, like if you're quitting your job to go all in your mission, like that is a potential risk, like hiring mentors, spending money on ads. And the biggest debt is not financial. It's actually ignorance. There's so many things that you just don't know and that are problems that are keeping you back. Like if you want to make $50,000 a month and you're only at $5,000 a month, that means you're paying $45,000 a month in ignorance taxes. That means you're paying $45,000 a month just in fees and taxes for all the things that you don't know that someone who's at $50,000 a month knows, right? Because it's just a separation of beliefs and skills and things like that. And so the cost of not having those beliefs and skills is costing that person in that example $45,000 a month. And that is a big ignorance tax. So that's like the biggest tax. It's like, how do I learn as much as possible? How do I understand what the right information is and how to be led in the right way? And the last vent I'll do is that for me, business has been, and for a lot of my clients too, business has been one of the biggest magnifying glasses. It's been one of the biggest mirrors for whatever's inside of you. You're feeling scarce in your own mind in some way. You're going to get people on calls who are scarce. You have some reservations about finances and like a lot of things in your life that you're not doing because you quote unquote don't have the money or aren't willing to spend on it. You're going to get people into your business who have the same reservations about money. You have a bunch of things in your life that you don't have time for and like you would love to do. I'd love to learn this. I'd love to meditate. I'd love to spend more time doing this, but I don't because I don't have the time. You're going to get clients and leads and sales calls with people who don't have the time. It is the biggest mirror you could possibly ask for is growing a mission, is becoming a leader, because everything that's inside of you will be clearly placed outside of you, and you can either blame the external world or you can look inside and say, wow, I have to make a change here. I have to fix me, and I don't have business problems. I have personal problems that are reflecting in my business. And that's 100% of the time true for the people I serve. A lot of the people I serve, they have to live the thing that they're teaching on a much deeper level than they've ever had to live it before in order to hit the next level of success. It's so funny how it happens just every single time. My clients, like they blast off and then they reach a certain plateau and they're like, I don't know why I'm plateauing here. And then it's so deeply linked to this mirror principle, this magnifying glass of like, deep inner things that they need to heal and overcome within themselves in order to take their leadership to the next level, in order for the universe to trust them with stewarding way more people, way more impact, way more income. This shiz is difficult. This shiz is ruthless. This, like growing a business, the business doesn't care about your feelings. The market doesn't care about your feelings. The market doesn't care when you're tired. The business doesn't care when you're tired. It only cares about you actually showing up and doing the things necessary for it to work. And it can be brutal. It can be soul crushing. It can be lonely, all these things. And so if you're there, like this is like a love letter to past me and to current me. And I hope that older version of me, the elder version of me, makes a similar message for current me, because he knows so much that I don't know yet. And he has so much perspective on all the challenges to come that makes whatever I'm going through now seem quite minimal. Now, like me, looking back on, me 5 years ago, 10 years ago, like, yeah, all those things seem so minimal. But when you're in the thick of it, when I'm in the thick of it, I'll just speak for myself, it can seem so real and so confronting and so daunting and so damn like triggering sometimes. And what I've found is if I don't fall in love with that, if I don't fall in love that like this is how it's going to be, right? And I don't have to fight that. I'm playing a game in which there will be perpetual challenge. And if I relate with that challenge in a way that's self-degrading and that disturbs me at every moment, I'm going to have a really bad time with this entrepreneurialism thing. But if I relate with all these challenges as opportunities, as doorways, as portals, as mechanisms by which I can upgrade myself and become worthy of a bigger mission, I'm going to probably have a great time. I love that. I personally love doing business because I see it as the best mechanism for self-actualization, for self-development that I've experienced out of any sort of like daily activity I could be doing. And so to flip all these negatives on their head, like when I talk about risk, well, on the flip side, having your own business has the biggest upside of anything you could possibly do. That's why you see people on the internet, solopreneurs, people with just very small teams, making 10K, 30K, 50K, 100K, 300K, 400K. I know people in their 20s and 30s with internet businesses doing $3 or $4 or $5 million per month as 32-year-olds. When was that possible before? Like, at what point in history has that been possible? And instead of thinking about endless problems, there's endless ways to grow. Instead of thinking about how lonely it is, think about the opportunity to connect with the best change makers, to actually grow a team that can become like a family that stands behind you and pushes forward with you. Think about all the hundreds or thousands of clients that you can steward and deeply change the lives of, and that will thank you and remember you forever. Think about, instead of all the bold decisions and like having to filter people's opinions and ignore people's opinions, you have to become stronger. You get the opportunity to become stronger in your own conviction, in yourself, in your abilities, in your product, and your values, and your vision, and have that faith radiate out into every single part of your life, into your relationships, into your relationship with God, to your relationship with your family, into how you treat yourself. Because that must be rectified if you're going to steward more people. That must be. There's no other way. Instead of thinking about all the trade-offs that you're going to have to make, you can think about you're going to get to learn how to handle duality and remain self-centered at a quicker pace than most people will ever have to be exposed to. Yeah, you get to develop that even-mindedness through this practice. Instead of thinking about all the judgment and hate that you'll get inevitably, right? Like, the thing is, if you suck at something, you'll get hated on. If you're average at something, people will criticize you. If you're great at something, people will criticize you. If you're truly phenomenal at something, people will tear you down. So no matter what, you are not exempt from being criticized in this world. There will always be people that just don't resonate with you and will have a deep need within themselves to find something wrong with you. And what that allows you to do is have more introspection on where you can grow. Maybe there's some truth to it if it's triggering me. Okay, great. It's an opportunity for me to grow. Have more compassion for others. So instead of casting these intense judgments on others, making the best assumptions about people, asking questions, getting curious, not just commenting, canceling, but actually inquiring, inviting in into intimacy and connection, inviting in the ability to see the other person as a human and disagree with them respectfully. Instead of thinking about, oh man, this is a magnifying glass, business is a magnifying glass that's just going to burn me down to the ground, think about it as the quickest vehicle for self-growth that is possible out there. Reframe all the negatives into positives, and you'll see that those are just as true and much more helpful frames to use if you want to stay in business. Obviously, this brings us to a point where it's like 9 out of 10 businesses fail. Why do you think that is? It's not because they just had invalid products or they sucked as humans. It's because 9 out of 10 business owners simply give up. It's because 9 out of 10 business owners simply can't reframe the eternal challenge that is entrepreneurialism in their minds and fall in love with it and actually like look forward to it. They just quit. That is the best way to fail. That's the only way to fail in your business. It's just to quit. That being said, like, it has never been easier to be the 1 out of 10 because all that is required to be the 1 out of 10 business that actually succeeds and can like eat up the market share and like do really well is to just keep going. And all these challenges, if you can reframe your relationship with those challenges, they becomes like the competitive moat, right? If you've ever seen like a castle with like the waterway around it and like crocodiles in it, like you can't go into the castle because there's a waterway and there's crocodiles and there's all these dangerous things. All the things that I just mentioned are like those alligators in the water that you have to cross over to get into that castle. And if you have that, if you're willing to cross over that, shark infested, alligator infested water and go to the other side and actually like claim your castle, claim your kingdom, claim your mission, then that becomes your competitive advantage because 99.99% of humans are simply unwilling to do that, which means that there has never been a better time to succeed than now because people are like lazier, they're more scared, they're more risk averse, they're less willing to be triggered. they're less willing to like put in this hard work and like have to reframe all these beliefs than maybe ever before, right? Like in order to be in the top 1% of podcasters, you just have to record 21 episodes. So like 90% of people don't get past episode 1 of making a podcast. So you can be in the top 10% just by recording 2 episodes. And you can be in the top 1% of all podcasters who have ever existed just by recording 21 episodes. So like just not giving up is the prerequisite for being in the top 1%. So like the barrier to entry to being in the top 1% has never been lower than ever before. It's just that most people cannot reframe how to handle these challenges in a way that uplifts them rather than just destroys them. And I get it, it's painful, right? But unless you reframe it, how will you survive? Unless you fall in love with the actual benefit you can provide your clients, like the healing, the coaching, the transformation, the retreats, whatever it is that you provide, unless that is more valuable to you, that people get access to that stuff, than self-preservation, than you simply not having to be confronted by your own deficits and emotions and all that, and lack of skill set, if you place that as more valuable than self-preservation, you will grow and you'll accomplish exactly what you want to accomplish. But so many people who say that they're about service and say they're about helping so many people don't do the basics because it confronts them. It makes them uncomfortable, and they value their comfort more than they value the mission that they say that their life is about, which is so interesting to me. How willing are you to go through pain to get where you want to go and to be able to serve as many people as you want to serve? Because the road to becoming like heroic, like look at any of the heroes in history, it was not just like a wonderful journey. They all had to get smashed by life. Every single saint that has come, every single big leader and hero that has come into this planet and done amazing work, they've all gotten smashed by life again and again and again. And like Viktor Frankl says, he's a Holocaust survivor, highly recommend his books. He says, say yes to life in spite of it all. Right? Like the ability to say yes to life in spite of it all is what will separate the 9 out of 10 who just quit from the 1 who actually succeed and end up making way more impact and end up accessing all that upside and satisfaction and freedom that entrepreneurialism is waiting to give you. So the last things I'll leave you with is 2 frames. One is to think about how would the 90-year-old me look back on the challenges I'm facing today. And that's kind of applicable for everyone, except if you're 90, sorry about that. But how would the 90-year-old wise version of you look back on the 20, 30, 40, 50-year-old you and the challenges you're facing today? Mine would probably laugh a bit. Mine would probably be like, oh, look at how serious you thought this challenge was. Look at how confronted you are by this small thing. It's so cute. It's so adorable. Just like when you see a little kid, like it's petty, but to them it's not. And so taking that frame of the older you, like that older you has better advice than the current you, and just listen to that elder you, okay? And the last frame I'll give you is understanding the cyclical nature of change, okay? When most people start out, they're at what's called uninformed optimism. So they see, starting a business or e-commerce or drop shipping or becoming a coach or whatever opportunity is lighting them up that they just are fascinated by the idea of, right? You're optimistic, but you're actually uninformed about what it takes. So this is the first stage of change called uninformed optimism. Then as you enter it and you learn that there's so much you have to learn, there's so much you have to confront to get where you want to go with this thing, it becomes informed pessimism. That's the second stage of emotional change. So now you're less bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, inspired, and more like confronting the brutal facts of reality. And then from there, it usually goes down into stage 3, which is called the Valley of Despair, which is where you just feel horrible and confronted and really are like questioning your decision. And this is the pivotal moment. This is where the reframe of all this stuff has to happen, or else you're not going to make it to stage 4, which is informed optimism, right? Where now you know what it takes, now you know where you're going, and you can actually experience the upside of the venture that you're pursuing. Most people at stage 3, They just find a new flashy thing, a new opportunity, a new business model, a new thing to be obsessed about, and they start back again at stage one, uninformed optimism. And they just repeat again and again and again. And they never access the depth, the level of success that they want with anything, because they're unwilling to go through the valley of despair with whatever that new learning curve is, with whatever that new change is for them in their life. So don't be that person. Understand that if you're feeling this way, that is very natural. If you're feeling in the valley of despair, it's very natural. And keep going. Have people around you who can see the goodness in you and bring it out. Refer to your elder self. Get mentors who see the greatness in you and bring it out. All right? Because just over that hump, there's so much amazing stuff waiting for you. So this is my vent for the day. Please subscribe if you like this. Comment below. I read all the comments and respond to them personally myself. And I see that like 97% of you who watch this sort of video are not subscribed to the channel yet. And I'm trying to grow this thing so I can boost my ego and help more people at the same time. All right. Thanks, guys. Peace out. See you in the next one.